Thank you for coming. I'm Maryland Transportation Secretary Paul Wiedefeld. From the cargo ship you see behind me to the longshoremen who are processing the containers, the bustling Port of Baltimore is a direct result of the extraordinary work of the men and women with Unified Command. Thank you so much. Let me begin first of many here today are going to express my profound appreciation to the entire team for working together to achieve our shared goals and reopen the full shipping channel. The Port of Baltimore is an economic engine that is revving up to be stronger than ever before. I'm confident that this port will rapidly return to its top ranks in handling cargo. And it will continue to be an industry leader in creating jobs and expanding business. I want to thank President Biden, Secretary Buttigieg, Director Tom Perez, and everyone at US DOT for their tremendous support through this whole effort. Finally, today's major milestone would not have happened as quickly as it did if it were not for Governor Wes Moore. Determined, he was swiftly moved to support the people impacted by this tragedy. The governor's directives kept our focus on the victims and guided all of us to achieve the goals in a matter of weeks, not months. It is now my honor to welcome Maryland's steadfast leader, Governor Wes Moore.
Good afternoon. It's a great afternoon. Great afternoon. And I've been waiting to say this for every day for the last 11 weeks. Maryland, the Fort McHenry Channel is fully cleared and the Port of Baltimore is reopened for business. And while this moment is historic, it was not given. This moment was earned. And we are here this afternoon to recognize the people who brought us to this moment. And so before I go any further, I want to recognize Scott Cowan and our brothers and sisters of the International Longshoremen's Association. Scott, God bless you and thank you and all your members. You cannot understand Baltimore's strength, and you cannot understand Maryland's pride without our Port of Baltimore. Not just because the port handles more cars and more farm equipment than any other port in this country. Not just because the port manages tens of billions of dollars in cargo every single year, including everything from sugar to cement to lumber, but because importantly, there are over 15,000 Marylanders who depend on the Port of Baltimore to pay their bills, who depend on the Port of Baltimore to support their families. And nearly 140,000 Americans whose jobs are linked to this port. And so, these last 11 weeks, I'm going to wait for our aero assets to move forward. So while I know these last 11 weeks, they have tested many of them. At least 8,000 longshoremen on the docks have jobs that were directly impacted by the Key Bridge collapse. Thousands more were affected too. But by moving as a team, by moving united, and by being Maryland tough and Baltimore strong, vessel traffic is fully reopened to the Port of Baltimore, and our brothers and sisters from ILA, today, they are back on the job. But today didn't just happen. We made today happen. This has been a remarkably complex operation spanning multiple objectives, hundreds of assets, and thousands of people. And first, I want to thank our remarkable first responders and every single member of Unified Command. Unified Command has been tireless and haven't rested and haven't slept in weeks. Over the last 11 weeks, Unified Command has removed over 50,000 tons of bridge wreckage from the water. And importantly, they did it with no injuries. We said from the start, we lost 6 Marylanders. We're not losing anymore. And this team did remarkable work without a single person being injured. This team is composed of hundreds of public servants, and I want to recognize just a few this afternoon. First, Rear Admiral Shannon Gilreath from the United States Coast Guard. Admiral, thank you so much for your leadership. And second, Major General Butch Graham from the Army Corps of Engineers. Sir, thank you so much for your work and leadership. And the Coast Guard and the Army Corps were joined by the fantastic work of the Maryland State Police, the Department of the Environment, the Maryland Transportation Authority, and the Navy Soup Solve and all of their partners. They are the country's best, and we are grateful that they are here and they did this work on our behalf. This has been a truly unified effort. And I remember that morning, on March 26th, the only certainty was uncertainty. And many said it would take multiple months for us to get to this point. Some said even up to a year. Well, Maryland, this team did the unimaginable by many. And instead of 11 months, we got this thing done in 11 weeks. And I also want to be very clear, this would not have happened without our extraordinary partners in the Biden-Harris administration. Now, I remember the first phone call that I got from the White House was around 3:30 that morning. And they have been in lockstep with us every single step of the way. They helped us to stand up the Small Business Administration's recovery centers in Baltimore to help individuals and businesses affected by the collapse. They delivered $60 million in emergency funding just days after the bridge fell. President Biden himself took the time to come to Baltimore and to meet with us about the path forward. Maryland is deeply grateful for the leadership of President Biden and the leadership of Vice President Harris. And we are so thankful for their absolute lights out team. And I want to recognize two of our friends from the administration who are with us today and who have been with us every single step of the way. Our Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg. And our Senior Advisor, Tom Perez. Thank you both for your friendship. Thank you both for your leadership. I could not be more proud of our president and this administration. I could not be more proud of the leadership that every member of this team has demonstrated. Because today didn't just happen. We made today happen. I also want to thank the lawmakers and the elected officials at every single level of government, from our local leaders to our state legislators to our federal partners. Every piece of this operation affected every other piece of this operation. And we had to work with everybody. We worked across party lines, coordinated funding, support programs, law enforcement, and countless public assets. So many who were here today, and I want to thank our county executive, Johnny Olszewski, for his leadership and the work that he's continued to do. Also, I see our county executive, Stuart Pittman from Anne Arundel County, and also Mark Elwood from Montgomery County as well. Mark. And I want to thank a few others as well. I see our Speaker of the House, Adrienne Jones, and the work that she did to move the legislature to get to work. And the few others who couldn't be here today. For example, our mayor of Baltimore City, Brandon Scott, who I was just speaking with a little bit earlier, who I have to say he's been absolutely outstanding, been a great partner in every sense of the word. Also and also our Senate President, Bill Ferguson, who I think is on his way over here, but if he's not here, I wanted to cheer loud enough that he can hear us when he's on his way. There he goes. Good to see you, Mr. President. Our federal delegation, where I have the most outstanding federal delegation that any governor could ever ask for. So our senators, Ben Cardin, our senators, Chris Van Hollen, Congressman Kwesi Mfume, who I actually just got off the phone with, and as we speak, he is working the Hill for 100% federal funding on it. So keep working, Congressman Mfume, and thank you. And to our entire congressional delegation, both Democrats and Republicans. Because I think that if there's one thing that we've shown in Maryland is that progress is not partisan. That progress requires partnership. And Team Maryland is stronger today than ever before. I've never been more confident that this is Maryland's decade. And I've seen how each and every person in Maryland works together to get things done. All gas, no brakes. Today didn't just happen. We made today happen. I also want to thank our friends who have stepped up across society in all parts of our community, including our poor community and also the private sector. Moving in partnership is not just about government moving together. It's about all parts of society being willing to work together and to make big things happen. And this team worked with us to ensure that commerce continued to flow through the port even after the bridge fell, and helped to avoid mass layoffs. The remarkable leadership of our port administrator, Jonathan Daniels. Mark Schmidt from Ports America Chesapeake. A VP of Corporate Relations at Domino's Sugar, Peter O'Malley. And all the members of the Maryland Tough and Baltimore Strong Alliance who have committed over $16 million for relief efforts. And by the way, that includes two of our pride and joys, the Baltimore Orioles and the Baltimore Ravens. Thank you to each and every one of you who shows what it means to be Maryland Tough and Baltimore Strong. Because today did not just happen. Today was made to happen. And last, but certainly and absolutely not least, I want to thank my team. I know we are joined here today by leaders who have been absolutely essential to this work, by leaders who took this work personal, by leaders who stuck up for each other and cared for each other and never forgot our mission. My partner in this work, our Lieutenant Governor, Aruna Miller. Thank you, Aruna. Our Transportation Secretary, the absolutely tireless Paul Wiedefeld. And all of the members of the Moore-Miller administration. You all have been tremendous partners in this effort. And I couldn't be more proud to be your colleague. This work is much bigger than one person. It required all of us. And every single one of you stepped up. And while Unified Command cleared the channel, all of my colleagues and all of our leaders in state government had to take care of the people in our state. And you've heard me say before, mission first, people always. We worked with the General Assembly to pass the Port Act to support workers and businesses. And just 4 weeks after the bridge collapse, we stood up 5 different economic and financial relief programs to help Marylanders that have been impacted by this collapse. We approved $37 million in assistance to businesses and workers because of that partnership. We protected more than 3,000 jobs from layoffs because of that partnership. We provided $6.4 million in assistance to minority and women-owned businesses because of that partnership. We've helped people like Matt, who's the co-founder of a small 30-person food company based in Baltimore City. His organization depends on the port to move food between small farmers and consumers, and they manage hundreds of containers every single year. Collectively, we've been able to help people like Donald, who's a member of the International Longshoremen's Association and has been a refrigerator mechanic for the last 9 years. He and his wife purchased a new home just 3 months before the collapse, and a new car literally just 3 hours before the bridge fell. These are just 2 of the stories of the thousands of Marylanders we've been able to support because of the actions that we've taken together. I could not be more proud of this team. I could not be more proud of this state. I could not be more proud of the members of the Moore-Miller administration, because today didn't just happen. We made today happen. Now I know, and it's never going to be lost on me, that there are 6 people who cannot be with us today to celebrate this moment. The Marylanders who died when the Key Bridge fell. And to the families of our victims, we continue to pray for you, and we always will. Continuamos orando por ustedes, y lo seguiremos haciendo. And because of this incredible team, we've been able to bring closure and comfort to all 6 families who've been affected by this tragedy. And our work with these families will continue. So I want to end with this. After the bridge fell, we laid out 4 directives to bring closure and comfort to the families of the individuals we lost, to clear the full federal channel, and to fully reopen the Port of Baltimore to vessel traffic, to support everyone affected by the crisis, from our workers to our small businesses to our first responders, and to rebuild the Francis Scott Key Bridge. We promise to bring each of these priorities to completion, even though success was never guaranteed. But by working together, by having each other's backs, we've achieved the first 3 of our 4 directives: bring closure to the families, reopen the channel, and support our people. But in this administration, we don't settle for almost. We don't settle for urging. We finish the work that we start. So one day, and soon, we will be able to look out at the Patapsco. Now that we can see that the dolly's gone, now that we can see that the wreckage is cleared, we know that progress is possible. But I will not be satisfied until I can look over on the Patapsco and see the Key Bridge standing tall again. We're going to keep working with President Biden. We're going to keep working with members of Congress from both sides of the aisle, and we are going to make that vision a reality. That is the push. That's the promise. And we don't break our promises. We're going to get it done. And by moving in partnership, that's how we're going to do it. Because we're Maryland, we win. And even if sometimes we get knocked down, don't count on us staying there, because we're going to get back up. That's what it means to be Maryland tough and Baltimore strong. You hear that? It's a beautiful sound. It's a beautiful sound. And I could not think of anything more fitting than to turn the microphone over to somebody who was there that first morning and who said, "We're going to be with you every step of the way, Governor." And to now be with him that morning of March 26th, and to be with him now with the full federal channel reopening, it's only appropriate that we're able to have this full circle moment with someone who is a true partner in this work and has been an outstanding friend inside this work. U.S. Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg.
Thank you, Governor, and good afternoon. It is a full circle moment. We've been thinking about this moment and working toward this moment since the Governor and I first had that first conversation in the literally and figuratively dark hours of that morning. And Governor Moore has led with clarity, with compassion, and with purpose. And that leadership is such a huge part of why we were able to mark this occasion today. You are fortunate to have the leadership that you do here in the state of Maryland. Likewise, I want to thank and recognize and praise all of the different organizations and agencies that came together to be part of this, many of them represented here. Mayor Scott, who I know cannot be here, but who was part of this from the first moments. County Executive Johnny Olszewski. The members of the Maryland delegation, who, as Governor Moore noted, can't be here because they are doing the work of the American people and the people of Maryland on Capitol Hill as we speak. The interagency partners, including the Unified Command, the Coast Guard, the Army Corps, the first responders, and the extraordinary workers of the Port of Baltimore who are here right now. You have given us and your community so much to be proud of. What happened that early morning of March 26th was horrific. What happened next was inspiring. And it is what happened next and every day since that day that has allowed us to come together and mark and celebrate the fact that as of today, as of this week, the channel is open, the ships are moving, the terminals are operating, and this great American port is full steam ahead. President Biden made clear from that first day in those early hours that the federal government would do everything that we could to support the city, the county, the state, to get the Port of Baltimore back open and to get that bridge rebuilt. And what followed was an embrace of the people of Baltimore by the whole administration and really by the whole country to get this port back open in less than 100 days. Our Department of Transportation was proud to play our role in that teamwork, from the coordination and convening of key players to mitigate the impact of the shock to our national supply chains, to the $60 million release of emergency relief funding, a down payment on the work ahead, and the regular consulting we are doing with Secretary Wiedefeld and his outstanding MDOT team on their early work to rebuild that bridge. We revised a grant that was in the works to rush funds to Trade Point Atlantic, a nearby terminal, so they could quickly increase the amount of cargo that they could take in and help them effectively double their capacity to help handle the auto imports and exports while the port was closed. We engaged truck drivers and trucking companies, trade associations, food and agriculture stakeholders, everyone who had a stake in making sure that the port closure could be addressed and that we got through this as quickly as possible. And I need to acknowledge the ways that the Biden-Harris administration prepared us to handle a shock to the supply chain, even if we could not have imagined its nature or its proportions in advance. We were able to mount that response largely to the work of the White House Supply Chains Disruptions Task Force and the lessons that we learned in recent years, especially from COVID, that put us in a strong place to mitigate the disruptions to our supply chain and economy. Through our secure data sharing platform known as Flow that was created to deal with COVID, we're able to share data with public and private partners as far away as the Port of Savannah, the Port of New York, and New Jersey, giving us a better view of our complex supply chains. And today, I am proud to announce that we have a new member joining that partnership, Ports America Chesapeake. That news comes at a welcome and important time. As the Port of Baltimore reopens, that transparency is going to be vital for preparing for the next phase. For over 2 months, crews have worked day and night to get us to today, including with incredibly difficult conditions at times that made visibility very challenging.